PR Connections Radio presents
Good afternoon and welcome back to Cozy Up and Pay Attention, the Parent Edition, Season 2. And as I like to say, if you're looking at this space, it's probably a Tuesday at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, straight up. And I have another delightful guest, parent guest, for your listening pleasure today. And if you would kindly take a deep breath and let it out, I'll be right back.
Cozy Stone is a multi-talented comedian extraordinaire who has a real lust for life. She also combines humor and motivation, where she is known as a humorvational speaker. Her youthful ways and positive light make her a beacon for those of all ages. Cozy has lived a remarkable life that has paved the way for so many. She had the longest-running open mic venue of 11 years at Tommy Rockers in Vegas, called Cozy's Comedy Corner, through which she introduced many up-and-coming comedians. Before going into comedy, she was one of the first female personal trainers and one of the top fitness trainers in the world. She has trained many greats such as Billie Jean King, Roberta Flack, Andrew Young, Ed Bradley, CCH Pounder, Al Pacino, and Earl Monroe. As a former competitive bodybuilder, she also owned a bodybuilding gym for women over 40 in Los Angeles for several years. She has worked in top positions for HBO, Playboy, and Tony Robbins. She also enjoys volunteer work, dedicating time to the New York Foundling Hospital and babies with AIDS. Cozy Stone has a message that shouldn't be missed.
If you would kindly bring me my wonderful guest for today, Miss Janene Burton, I would appreciate it, Dana. Hi, Janene.
Hello there, Cozy.
It's taken us some time to make this happen, and you are as lovely as you were on the photograph that you sent.
Well, thank
So it's
you.
a pleasure. Before we start talking about you and the questions that you chose, I always like to say to my audience, there is no such thing as a perfect parent, in spite of what some of them may think. We know that there are lots of practice manuals on the shelf and books about parenting, but sometimes they just don't pertain to your particular child. This show has nothing to do at all with parent shaming. If anything, we'd like to add to some parents who may need some guidance, may need some more insights as to some things they may want to change. How's that? Or may want to do better. So what I'd like to do is to start off and get a little bit of background on who created and made Janene Burton, the wonderful parent that she is. So I always like to ask, where did your parents meet? How old were they when they had their first child?
All right. My parents met here in Utah, and they actually were lined up. My mom was attending Brigham Young University at the time, but she was also working as a secretary for my dad's father. My dad's father was the state superintendent of Utah, and my dad was lined up by him. He said, I have a cute secretary here. You should meet her. So that's how they met. And it went really well from there. They met in college. They met in college.
Okay.
They were both married when they were, I think they were in their early 20s.
Okay. Now, were they both born and raised, both of them, in Utah?
Yes, my mom was born as a city girl in Salt Lake City. My dad was the 9th child of 11 who grew up on a farm in Pleasant Grove, Utah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is my first Utah, born, raised, educated, married, and did they, because I don't want to ever assume a question, did they also raise you and your siblings in Utah?
Yes.
I'm the young. When you live in Utah, have you been there your whole life?
Pardon me?
I know you live in Utah now. Have you been there your entire life?
Yes. But the good news is, because my parents were both educators, every single summer we went somewhere else on a huge vacation. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I'd been to every single state in the United States.
Okay. Okay. All right. Two responsible adults, because you said they were in their 20s, right?
Yeah.
Met from the father putting them together, obviously liked one another enough to date, get married, and plan a family together.
Yes.
All right. So you saw that. You grew up. Did they stay together till death do them part?
Yes, they did.
All right.
They were married almost 50 years. My dad died fairly young.
Okay.
I was only 38 when he died. I was very close to both my parents. And when he died, it was a very hard thing for me to go through. But he got to know each one of my children, even though I'm the youngest in the family. My youngest child out of 4 was 6 when my dad died. So he got to meet all his grandchildren.
All right. Well, what I love is this is a total package from meeting to dating to marrying to planning a family to raising a family to having the family flee the nest. So, and here we have you today. So
Yes,
that's a great role model. So let's talk about
they are.
Janine. Where did you meet your husband? How old were you when you had your first child?
Well, okay. I met my husband at Utah State University, and I was almost ready to graduate. I was in my senior year when I met my husband, then
Mhm.
husband, and uh, we got married only after about 6 months of knowing each other, which isn't what I would recommend. But I did it. And another thing that happened, I had my first teaching job right off the bat. And I was planning to at least teach 2 or 3 years before I started a family, but I got pregnant
And
that
how
first.
old and how old were you?
I was 22,
Okay.
and I wasn't planning that. I wasn't planning to get pregnant right off the bat in my marriage. And I had my first child almost 9 months after I got married.
It
So it was
happens.
it was a
It
surprise.
yeah. Well, you call it a surprise. I call it an oops.
Yeah,
And on this show, we call it an unplanned pregnancy.
yeah,
However, you had you did and you didn't because you're already married,
yeah,
correct? Right.
yes,
So I understand what you're saying. You had a timeline, but you were married. You did have a husband. You had
yeah.
someone at the time to take on this responsibility with you, or so you thought, right? And
I
that's
thought,
that's okay. But that is part of when I have you different guests on the show. You all come in all different flavors and colors and sizes and shapes and forms and
right.
situations. And the end result is what you did with your lemons to make lemonade. That's all that matters. All
That's
right.
right.
So you're in high school. You see this man probably walking down the hallways where we usually see the first ones in school that we want to talk to. Was it his beauty, his bronze, or his brains that attracted you to him that ultimately encouraged you to marry him?
Well, I was in college, not high school, but I did meet him my senior year. And in a way, I think it was all about timing. Uh, yes, I was attracted to him, but I also was attracted to another man who came back to me after I got engaged to this one. And I always, I can't believe that I turned the one away that I really, really liked.
Okay,
However,
okay,
I'll,
stop. Listen. We're not doing woulda, coulda, shoulda. Each and every one of us, men and women, whomever it is we spend time with, let's leave it open-ended like that. There is
yeah.
something about that person at that time. So if you're telling me there were two, what made you choose this one? Brains, brawn,
Well,
or beauty?
I think it was my brain was thinking about it instead of my heart. And so I went with the one that I thought would be the best. And um, I didn't go with my heart this time.
So I'm gonna keep this going for a minute. When you say
Okay.
the best, was it the best father or the best husband? Which one did you think he would be?
I thought he would be both the best husband and the best father.
Okay, okay, and
I,
that's real. Again, we can't unring the bell, Janine. You can't go
right.
back and say, "Oh God, I wish." No,
That's right.
we're talking realities. Okay,
Exactly.
so I still didn't get out of you whether it was brain, bronze, or beauty. Um, what were you attracted? Did you like that the way he thought? Did you like the way he looked? Did you like the way he was built? We women, Janine, listen to me a moment, and we're
Yeah.
not the only ones. Most of us who walk on two legs, there is one of those three things that we are most attracted to. I'm trying to
Yeah.
get this out of you. I'm pulling teeth here.
I know it. I was more attracted to the other one I didn't pick. I was attracted to him physically in a way, but
Uh-huh.
uh, I guess it was I was picking through his brain and thought that we matched more that way and the way we were both raised.
All right, so there's my answer because I'm going to move on because
Okay.
you're still now thinking about the other one. I want you to stop thinking about the one that you let get away. So
Okay.
there you are, woman, female, married woman. You
Yeah.
still, when you get the news, whatever time period, doesn't matter, that you're pregnant. I always like to ask women, did you feel fear or panic when you were told the news you're pregnant? How did
I
you
felt
feel?
panic and fear.
Okay. Or,
Yeah.
or the other word I like to say is fear of fantasy.
Yeah. I was
Fear of
quite,
fantasy.
I was angry when I found out I was pregnant, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, doesn't matter that you're both in Utah, you both were raised in different homes. What was it that you both had in common to raise your children? That
It
you obviously both got from each, but from your respective homes.
Yes, and that had a lot to do with my decision was the culture, the religion, the way we were both raised. That's the one that brought us together mostly.
Okay. All right. Um, were there any I'm going to get to that because I think one of your questions handles that. All right. So you, Janine, in your
Yeah,
home with your parents, they are constantly giving you words of wisdom, uh,
right.
um, idealisms of reality. That's what parents' jobs are. This is what's going to
Right.
happen. You want to be prepared. Can you think of two things that they shared with you, uh, and more often than not, that you in turn shared with your children?
They shared with me, I think the thing that I took away the most from my parents is a great work ethic. We always had a saying in our home, we work hard and we play hard. And I really like that.
Okay.
My parents, you know, I know that parents come in different varieties and good comes from all different varieties of parents. But I learned a lot from my parents growing up because they were so dedicated and they spent so much time with us, and dinner time was dinner time. There was no such thing as a TV being on, no phones, nothing was allowed. And I carried that over to my family and we would actually have dinner together.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. All right. Let's get to the questions that you chose now that I've been inside your life. Parents met in college. Your parents met in the same similar fashion. They stayed together. You met this gentleman just so happens in college. You had some of the same commonalities together. You brought these children in this world, and here we are today with the first question. In your opinion, it doesn't matter. This is your opinion. It's your show. Janine, tell me what makes a good parent.
I I don't know that there is a common thing that makes a good parent, but I believe that the most important thing is how involved the parent is with that child. And I say that with not only my own opinion, but being a teacher, I realized that the students who were doing the best in school were the ones who had parents who were staying involved with their students. In other words, showing up to parent conferences, being in their extracurricular activities. And that's exactly what I did with my kids.
Okay. Your next question is, all right, so you're in school. And before I ask this question, as a young girl, young woman, did you want to become, at some point in your life, did you want to become a parent?
Yes.
Okay,
It,
so let me ask the next question. Let me ask the next question.
okay.
How did you prepare to become a parent?
I believe that I just had good examples. And my parents, I just thought it was going to be an easy thing. And I always wanted to be a parent. I remember being asked all the time, well, what are you going to do when you grow up? And I'd say, I'm going to go to college, because my parents expected me to. They expected me to graduate. And all four of us did graduate. And I always told them, but after I graduate from college, I want to get married and have 4 kids, 2 girls and 2 boys. And what's really funny is I have 2 girls and 2 boys.
You brought it into existence. That's wonderful. Then your next question is how, and you've given me this answer, but I'm sure you can give me more. How much of your parents' disciplines did you use? You've touched on it, so give me some more if you can, some more examples.
Okay. They were parents that used love and logic. I would say that that's exactly how I was with my children. And what I mean by love and logic is they didn't have a strong hand or a whip and do it that way with us to discipline us. What they did was with words.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, instead of demanding and saying, you go clean your room, they would say, oh, yeah, you can go out with your friends when you get your room finished.
Okay.
And I didn't want to disappoint my parents and that thing. So I always wanted to do what they wanted me to do and please them.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. I love doing this show. I say it every week, but I do, because I learn so much. Your next question is, you shouldn't have chosen this question, Miss Teacher, Miss Educator. I had
Yeah.
an educator last week. She chose this question too, but I'm going to do it because you chose it. Did you
Okay.
go to your children's parent-teacher meetings? Oh
Oh,
no, not as an educator. I would never do that. So tell us that you did, and tell us the importance, Janene,
yeah.
as a teacher and a parent, of why you think parents should go to their children's parent-teacher meetings.
Oh, what was really good for me being a teacher before I became a parent
Right.
is that I saw how important it was. So when I was teaching junior high, I was prepared to have junior high aged kids, which is very hard because you know how they change in their teenager years.
My favorite group.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I went to all of their parent conferences when they were in elementary, but
mhm.
when they became junior high students, I couldn't go. But my husband did do that. He did go to their parent conferences. But the other good news is because I knew most of their teachers one-on-one, I was able to keep up on them anyway. So I did it both ways
So why couldn't you go? Why couldn't you attend the parent-teacher meetings in
because
junior
I was doing my own. I was conducting my own parent conferences. So
high? Right.
yeah.
And as you said, so you didn't go, your husband went, but
Yeah.
we all know why, and maybe I didn't listen well enough. Tell me again the importance, or tell all of us why you know it's important for parents to go to their children's and to their parent-teacher meetings. Know their
Yeah.
teacher.
I noticed a correlation between success and how involved the parents were. There was a definite correlation. If parents didn't show up or bother to go show up to their parent conferences, they were the students that were getting D's and F's. They were not succeeding. And those are the parents I needed to see, but they didn't show up. So I noticed that the parents who stay involved are the ones who have a lot of success with their kids.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Again, I had another educator on here week before last, knowing, and one of the things that she brought up was she gave us an example of how her kid was corrected the teacher something to do with science, and he gave the right answer, and she was angry that he did and put him out of class and embarrassed him, and she went back into the classroom with him, not to embarrass the teacher at all, but to sit down and say, my kid was right. So the
Yeah.
teacher actually owed her son an apology. And
Yes.
she should have felt great because this is obviously a kid who paid attention and is intelligent enough to know that you're wrong,
Yes. I've
right?
had to stand up for my own children too.
You have that, and see, that's another reason why that's why I'm trying to get out of you the reasons of going to school for your kids, knowing the teacher, knowing the teacher's personality.
Exactly.
Um, right? Some
Yeah.
teachers, for whatever reason, may not like your child. It's not what they're in there for, but they're at the end of the day, they're also human beings. Well, your child's not there for a Valentine card. Your child is
Yeah.
there for a good grade and to get educated.
Right.
And I'm sure you may agree, when the teacher knows the parent, they're apt to be a little more respectful and responsive to the child
Right.
because
I
they know. Go ahead.
ample time for it. My son was in 6th grade, and
Mhm.
one of his friends said, gosh, Mrs. Williams just doesn't like him. She picks on him all the time. And I'm going, really? I don't know that I believe that. And then he did a project that was outstanding. In my opinion, it would have been A work. Well, he came home with a C. And I said, what in the world? This is a huge project. How did you get a C? And in one of her comments, she says, this looks like your mother did it.
But you didn't.
Oh, that made me mad. I had to go and talk to that teacher and say, this was all his work. So yeah, you have to stand up for your own children
That's right.
sometimes.
That's right. No, not sometimes.
All the
That's right. They rely on you. If they don't have you as parents to stand up for them against us adults, other adults, they're
Yep,
lost. They're
right,
lost. And their lack of respect for us as adults will falter. I
right.
met I met a kid. I can't get this kid out. I had to stop going around him because he actually thought he was the smartest. He was smarter than every adult. He actually said those words to me. And when I tell you this is not a bright kid, he may be bright, but I don't know it because he's so ignorant to think, or I don't know what schools he went to have an opinion that adults that he's smarter than adults. So you have to understand, when I met this kid, I chewed him up breakfast and lunch. I ate him up. You think you're smarter than me as an adult? Just the fact, I said, the fact that you say that lets me know how dumb you are. Come on, little boy. We all get to learn. And he's not, it's not like he's graduated from Harvard already at 12 years old. That kid may be able to tell me he may be smarter than adults, but then there's still life that comes outside of books,
Right.
right? And this thing called life can be so convoluted, and it's intricate, and there are so many dynamics that entails breathing.
Exactly.
So when I bow my head and honor you parents here on my show, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I had a conversation earlier today. It has
Yeah.
got to be, it has to be one of the most challenging, I don't want to say difficult, challenging jobs there is, to
Oh,
to bring a new body, human
yeah.
being in this world, and then have to mold it, right?
Yeah.
Mold the mind and thank you and please and do your dishes and do your grades and drive a car and
It was scary. And a lot of times it's just, you just go by the seat of your pants.
well, that's back to the question when I asked when you were told See, here's the deal: is your kids are so grown. As when I say, was it fear or fantasy? The answer generally is fear because it's simply the unknown.
It is.
Unless you're a teenager. Teenagers have fantasy because they think they're bringing home Barbie.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Their mind is not mature enough to understand what they just did. And
Yeah.
then sometimes it's too late. We don't want it to be too late. That's what I'd like this show to be about. Um, they're called condoms. They're called birth control pills. They're called.
Yeah.
I never say abstinence. I am not trying to tell anybody not to do it because it's so much fun. However, when you really don't know what you're doing, young people, it's
Yeah.
don't young ladies don't be fearful or embarrassed to ask a young man to buy a condom. If you think you're going to be sexually active, you buy the condoms. I
Yeah.
have women 30, 40 years old who think a man should have a condom. You're walking around trying to get a date, you don't have any condoms. Are you stupid? That's not
Yeah.
his responsibility. When you go to the condom, it doesn't say for men only. Purchased by
Yeah.
men only, right?
Right.
Everybody. So it happens, and it's going to happen. I'll be gone 100 years from now, and people are still going to be having oops babies.
Yeah.
Understand, right?
Yeah.
Understand.
It was
It's
nice because I was able to plan my other three. My first one got me going. But, I look back at those years now, working full time as a mother, raising four kids, and it was extremely busy and it was hard, but I actually loved it. And when my last one was a senior in high school and left the nest, I was an empty nester and I kind of missed them all.
of course you did.
Yeah.
That's they're called your life.
Yep.
All that
Right.
noise, all that screaming, all that repetitive pick this up, all of that do your homework, that fills your life. Not to
Yep.
mention, not to mention your heart. Oh,
And I
wonderful.
love this is my last picture of my children when they were all at home, but the oldest one was going off to college. And
Wow.
so as they got older, you realize, hmm, that's the last time it's going to ever be together, pretty soon
Yeah.
leave and it changes.
All right, let me get your last question is so I can be respectful of your time. Your last
Okay.
question is, and you've hit on it, but I'm going to use these three examples I gave. Things you
Okay.
taught your children: respect, thankfulness, honesty. Pick one or two of them and tell me more.
Okay. I believe that gratitude is one of the best virtues we can have. And I remember that my parents made a big deal out of it. And I wanted my kids to be grateful for everything they got because life is hard and things don't come easy. And we should all be grateful for things that we are blessed with in our lives. So if my kids went over to grandpa and grandma's, I would say, okay, everybody, what do we say to grandpa and grandma? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for dinner. Um, my oldest son, it made me so proud of him. One day we were driving home and we just got everybody ice cream cones. And he turns around to everybody and says, okay, everybody, what do we say to mom and dad? And all of them at once said, thank you for the ice cream cone.
Wow.
And I just think that gratitude is one of the best, like I said, the best virtues we can have because there's too many people that expect something for nothing. And children need to go and understand that, it takes money to get things. And so be grateful for what you get.
Well, in our time, Janine, the number one and two words that our parents taught us, in my head, I can remember a lot of things, but
Yeah.
please and thank you.
Yes.
Please and thank you. Today's kid will ask for something with no intention or knowledge of saying the word please. And I stare at them and say, is there something following that? Is
Yes.
there something else you want to say to me? And you can see the light bulb is not on. And
Right.
it's not on for one reason. They weren't taught. This kid's not saying please to me because he doesn't want to. He's not saying please to me because no one taught him to say please.
Yeah.
No one taught them to say thank you.
Manners mean a lot. And here's another thing that I think is the second one that I would pick is honesty. And I think that one time my boy Trevor came running into the house. And he says, Mom, I found a $20 bill. Well, I had several people that had been to the house and I didn't know who it belonged to. And I said, well, let's do a thing. Let's hang this up on the fridge. Let's see if somebody claims it. And he said, but we don't know who it was. And I said, I know, but let's just see if somebody that we know comes and said that they lost that $20 bill at our house. So we left it up there for a week. And finally, I said, okay, Trevor, nobody claimed it. We couldn't find the owner, so you can have it. And I think that really taught him some good things about honesty.
And honesty is, I mean, it's all about character.
Yeah.
Would you do something without anyone looking? And he did, because he could have picked that $20 up and put it in his pocket. But
Right.
he didn't. He picked it up and came to you because he probably saw, he knows people coming in and out the house. But there's this expression, I can't come off the tip off my tongue immediately, but it says to paraphrase it, what would you do if no one was looking?
Right.
If it's something that you should be honest about. It's called character. Okay. So let's get to your fun question. All right, Miss Janene. If you could eat only 3 foods for the rest of your life, what would they be?
I would choose crab. I know that sounds, I love crab and butter. And I would like steak, ribeye steak.
Okay.
The other one is ice cream. I am an ice cream fiend, and I hate it because I can't go past an ice cream store without just drooling. I want to try another kind of ice cream. So, and it became a staple in my house. Ice cream was my staple.
Well, ice cream is, along with foods, is a feel good. Right?
Yeah.
When I think of ice cream, and for me, real quick story, when we were kids, raised in Atlantic City, New Jersey, we would go to the beach in the summer. My mother would take 15 kids and her, we'd go to the beach. And then there was an ice cream with the swirl.
Yeah.
Right? When they used to put it under the thing in the long cone.
Yes.
And we wanted to go to the beach, but I have no doubt each and every one of us, if I ask us today, at our ages, what we really look forward to was getting the ice cream cone, because now every one of us are walking off the boardwalk towards home, and we're all eating our ice cream.
Yeah.
It's ice cream goes with feel good. All of those things you chose goes crabs, ribeye. I'm a vegetarian now, but ribeye was my favorite steak. Well, Miss Janene, I'm going to wrap up here and say to my listening audience, came from love, provided love to your own children. They are now out there, I'm sure, giving love and will raise the same kind of kids that they are. I think that repeats itself as well, good and bad. And I like to always thank my guests for giving us in society some more responsible adults.
Thank you.
And I like to think or say, when you do your job, people, when we hear about your kid on TV, it's before something good, doing something good again for mankind and for our society. We have to keep, if we can, try to keep building ourselves as a country, as a people, as a human beings, and to lift one another's up. And that happens or starts off with the staple of family.
Yes.
Of guidance, of love, of creating responsible adults. And so I want to thank you for that. I don't remember how you got my name. Who do we know in common?
Either.
I said, how did I get your name? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What'd you say?
I'm glad we met.
I'm glad we met too. I am. If you ever come to Vegas, or if I go through Utah. The last time I came through Utah, I got a speeding ticket.
Oh my goodness.
It
Well,
was
you know what?
June.
I live in the bottom of Utah. I live in St. George. I'm only a 2-hour drive to Las Vegas.
That's where I got the ticket. I was trying to get to LA to see LeBron James was in the championship. He was
Yeah.
playing with Miami, and I left Denver. I was relocating. They out June 8th, 5 years
Oh,
ago, and it said 65. I had my car was pretty new. It was a little Volkswagen Beetle, and I said, "Blow it out, Cozy." And as soon as I hit that accelerator, I looked in my rearview mirror and I said, "No, no, God, tell me that's not." So
I've
that's
done that times.
he pulled me over, and I said, "All right, hurry up and give me the ticket, dog on it. LeBron is getting ready to play."
Yeah.
Get off my seat. Stop trying to talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. Give me my ticket.
Dang it.
And thank you. Thank you very much. This
Thank
data
you.
will, okay, so we're going to end the show. And what I usually do, I don't usually do, I try to remember to do this. And this is for
Yeah.
you. I have
Oh,
2 self-published books on Amazon. Cozyisms, The Art of Paying Attention. They are one-liners of quips and witticism. I'm also a comedian, and most of them are pretty funny. They make you think. They make you think, and they make you laugh.
I
So
love it.
please go to Amazon and order my Cozyisms, The Art of Paying Attention.
I
And
will.
my audience out there, hopefully you are out there. I say this every week, God allowing, I will be back again next week, hopefully same time. And folks, when we know better, sometimes we do better. Thank you for being here today, and I'll see you soon. And I'd ask you please to just sit still for 1 minute.
Thank you.